Maddie Riewoldt was just 26 years old when she tragically died of a bone marrow failure syndrome called aplastic anemia. When her fight was ending in February 2015, she asked her family to make her a promise. Maddie wanted nobody else to go through what she did. Maddie Riewoldt's vision is her legacy.
Maddie's a baby of our family. She had a strength that just left us in awe, and she was my best friend.
She was just such a loyal, loving, caring, protective sibling, and that's what I miss the most.
It was frightening, and it was a very, very lonely place to be. And I can't imagine what it must have been like for Maddie.
Every 3 days, an Australian is diagnosed with a bone marrow failure syndrome. Distressingly, most of these are children and young adults, and 50% will not survive. Thousands more are living with complex medical issues and ongoing risks to their health. That's why Maddie's vision is here. We are leading the fight against bone marrow failure syndromes by funding research into better treatments and cures and ensuring that patients and families get the support that they so desperately need.
Bone marrow failure syndromes are diseases where our blood-making factory doesn't work properly. So we don't make the red cells, the white cells, the platelets that we need for normal, safe, healthy, everyday living.
The treatments for these conditions are quite intense and can take months, if not years. And they include such intensive therapy as stem cell transplantation, which is associated with quite a lot of complications as well.
Now, take years down the track, it still hurts, it still sucks. You know, there's still an empty chair at the table. And so our motivation is to make sure that other people don't have to experience that.
We were just so in the dark as to what this was. I mean, Maddie's haematologists and doctors were wonderful to the extent that they could be, but there was nothing in the way of patient or family information that made our decisions any easier.
It was actually 2 years today that we brought Zara into emergency, and not long after she was diagnosed with aplastic anemia. During her bone marrow biopsy that day, they found some changes. We realised very quickly it was much more serious than that, and she needed blood and platelet transfusions regularly to keep her alive. The only treatment option for her was a bone marrow transplant. She was on the donor list straight away. We were very fortunate to be able to find a donor overseas.
Since Maddie's vision started in 2015, we have made an extraordinary impact into bone marrow failure syndrome research and support for patients and families. We have established the Centre for Research Excellence in Bone Marrow Biology, an Australian first, funded $8.7 million into bone marrow failure syndrome research. Those Maddie's Vision researchers have then been able to leverage that funding to raise a further $14.2 million. We have supported 81 patients and families through our telehealth nurse service.
You have family and friends who want to support you, but they don't know the condition, they don't know the disease, but the telehealth nurse was invaluable in providing us with that information to make us feel supported. And yeah, we're lucky, about 18 months later, she's still with us and everything's trending the way it should. So we're very fortunate to still have her with us today.
Thank you, Maddie's Vision.
And even with the best therapies that we have available today, such as stem cell transplant, we urgently need new therapeutic options, new treatments.
Prior to Maddie's Vision, the scope of bone marrow failure research in Australia was very limited. Since Maddie's Vision's work, there has been an improvement in the critical infrastructure from laboratory-based research to expansion in clinical trials capacity as well. We have no shortage of good ideas and emerging researchers with good ideas, but to translate a good idea into a good therapy, we need funding.
Nobody should suffer, especially a young person, and Maddie would be so proud and so grateful.
With your support, Maddie's Vision can create a much better future for those suffering bone marrow failure syndromes. We can fund more research projects. We can provide support for those families that are walking down a very, very difficult path. So jump onto our website, mrv.org.au, to understand more about bone marrow failure syndromes and how you can make a tangible difference to people's lives.